2025 changed the entire landscape for digital assets, with institutional money flowing in. Ethereum, Solana, XRP, and HBAR all had major ETFs in 2025, communicating a clear shift in the crypto space driven by real Wall Street demand. But there is one digital asset that's still flying under the radar. Most people noticed Ethereum but missed the opportunity to capitalize because it arrived silently. Some people noticed Solana, but at the time they were distracted by the political narratives and other noise. But nobody noticed HBAR, and behind the scenes, there was a massive move in development. And this is exactly why I'll be breaking down HBAR and explaining why Hedera is one of the most undervalued and institutionally aligned digital assets in existence. HBAR has a very similar use case to XRP, a utility-driven network that does not survive on speculative narratives. Back in 2023, I had the opportunity to attend Paris Blockchain Week, where I had the opportunity to meet with the Hedera team and learn firsthand about some of the phenomenal technical capabilities of HBAR. So when Canary Capital reached out about partnering on today's video, it was the perfect fit. Engagement between sponsors and regulators had already happened long before the shutdown headlines, allowing certain digital asset products to move forward. The 4-year crypto cycles have fundamentally changed in 2025. With the Clarity Act in motion, digital assets not aligned with utility-driven purposes will run out of business. There is a brand new definition of what real-world use actually means, and this is changing the entire cryptocurrency paradigm. This has added more confidence in projects that serve a purpose and open the liquidity gates for institutional capital. Enterprise systems are now being forced to move faster. Legacy rails still stop at set times, process transactions overnight, and create unnecessary friction. The shift towards real-time infrastructure is no longer optional. It's now an operational requirement. And that's the gap Hedera was built to address. ETFs removed the biggest friction preventing traditional investors from becoming active participants in the crypto markets. Private keys, personal wallets, and exchanges were not compatible with mass adoption. Tickers can now sit inside standard brokerage accounts. And here is what 99% of people keep missing out about the new crypto landscape. Institutions won't just randomly participate in the crypto space, which has a speculative nature. They will only approve a select group of networks and digital assets, and this is exactly why HBAR matters. With regulation in place, out of thousands of digital assets, only a handful are considered mature enough, regulated enough, and infrastructure ready to get ETF products. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, and HBAR are the only ones that to this day fit this category. HBAR is not here by coincidence. In fact, it was built for real-world adoption. HBAR powers a public network designed for fast transaction finality, predictable fees, and enterprise-grade settlement. Just like XRP transactions, HBAR settles in just a few seconds. Unlike BTC and Ethereum, network fees are extremely low and priced in fiat terms so that costs are known in advance. And the network is engineered to handle thousands of transactions per second without downtime. That matters when companies actually build on a network. Hedera routinely processes hundreds of thousands to over 1 million transactions per day, depending on applications running on the network. That's not a roadmap promise, it's available data that anyone can verify on-chain. Hedera operates under a formal governing council model instead of informal or anonymous leadership. Council members include global enterprises like Google, IBM, and LG. Hedera's governing council is composed of Tier 1 financial institutions that have already decided the winners. Enterprises care about governance, risk, and stability. They care about knowing the roles won't suddenly change. Hedera was designed with this specific purpose. Until recently though, getting exposure to HBAR meant traditional investors had to deal with operational complexity, wallets, exchanges, and custody risk. That changed with the launch of the Canary HBAR ETF. The Canary HBAR ETF trades on Nasdaq under the ticker HBAR and is designed to provide direct exposure to spot HBAR held by the trust, minus expenses and liabilities. That excludes the risk of staking, lending protocols, and derivatives markets, just direct exposure to the underlying assets. The infrastructure behind the ETF is exactly what major financial institutions expect. Administration is handled by U.S. Bank Global Fund Services, cash custody is with U.S. Bank National Association, digital asset custody is handled by BitGo Trust Company and Coinbase Custody Trust Company. Trading counterparties include established firms like Flowdesk, Cumberland DRW, FalconX, and JSCT, with authorized participants such as Jane Street Capital and Virtue Americas. This is standard ETF infrastructure, and the early data matters and signals adoption. Within the first months of launch, the Canary HBAR ETF accumulated over $50 million in net assets, with hundreds of millions of HBAR held directly by the trust. That's what a real functioning ETF looks like and ensures the product is usable for real portfolios. This is the same successful model that has already been implemented with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. HBAR is now entering that same institutional discovery phase with a quiet listing and early positioning. Most crypto investors focus on hype cycles and completely miss the real moves. Institutions focus on governance, regulation, and real infrastructure. HBAR checks boxes that don't trend on social media but matter deeply to Wall Street. HBAR remains one of the most undervalued ecosystems in the crypto space simply because it's misunderstood. Nobody has put in the work to understand how the network is one of the finest in the entire crypto space. This is not about price predictions, but I highly recommend you to do your own research on Hedera and start connecting the dots. When the same asset keeps getting selected by institutions, wrapped into ETFs, and integrated into traditional market infrastructure, it deserves attention. HBAR is one of those assets that's still flying under the radar, but once that changes, its adoption will blow up like a volcano eruption. Thank you everyone, I'm gonna see you in the next video. This video was disseminated on behalf of Canary HBAR ETF, HBR.